Lesson 89. In the last lesson, we learned how to identify infinitives in English. Now we're going to learn how to make them in Latin. So we have a new word for this lesson, and that's spectare. If you're using ecclesiastical pronunciation, you would want to roll the R in spectare, and the E at the end would sound like the E in bet. So in ecclesiastical pronunciation, spectare would sound something like spectare. We learned that in English, it takes two words to make an infinitive, the word to plus a verb. But in Latin, an infinitive is just made with one word. For instance, our new word for this lesson, spectare, means to watch. So the word spectare is an infinitive all by itself. Let's look at an example here and use our new infinitive word, spectare, in a sentence. Here we see the example, stellas spectare amo. In this sentence, amo is the verb, and that means I like or I love, and spectare is an infinitive. Stellas, which means stars, is in the accusative plural case because it's the target of the infinitive spectare. So this sentence means I love to watch the stars. Now let's take a look at the infinitive forms of some of the other verbs that you know. For instance, we have numero, which means count, and then numerare is the infinitive form, so numerare means to count. You know the verb porto. The infinitive form of porto is portare, so that means to carry. You know the verb aro already, so the infinitive form of aro is arare, and that means to plow. Likewise with ambulo, the infinitive form is ambulare, and that means to walk. The infinitive form of navigo is navigare, and navigare means to sail. The infinitive form of nato is natare, and that means to swim. So notice how in each case the infinitive ends in are. So in the exercises below, be able to recognize the infinitives, and that will help us translate. In exercise number 1, amo means I like or I love. Spectare is the infinitive form of specto, and that means to watch. Scaphos is in the accusative plural because that's the direct object of the infinitive spectare. So number 1 will say, I love to watch boats. In number 2, amo means I like or I love. It's being negated by non. Arare is the infinitive form of aro, so arare means to plow. And teram is the direct object of the infinitive arare. So number 2 will say, I do not like to plow the soil. In number 3, we have the verb desiderant. That means they long for or they want. It's being negated by non, and we don't need the word they in desiderant because puellae is the subject. Ad scholam is a prepositional phrase, and ambulare is the infinitive form of ambulo, and that means to walk. So number 3 will say, the girls do not want to walk to school. In number 4, amant is the verb. That means they like or they love, but we don't need the word they because nautai is the subject. We have a prepositional phrase, ad insulas, and an infinitive, navigare, which means to sail. So number 4 says, the sailors love to sail to the islands. In number 5, desiderant means they want or they are longing for, but we don't need the word they because puellae is the subject. In silvam is a prepositional phrase. Notice how the object of the preposition in is in the accusative case. That means that in will mean into. And we have an infinitive, ambulare, which means to walk. So number 5 will say, the girls are longing to walk into the forest. In number 6, desideramus is the verb. That means we long for or we want. Edificare is an infinitive that means to build. The direct object is kasas, and prope actam is a prepositional phrase. So number 6 will say, we want to build houses near the seashore. In number 7, narat is the verb. That means he, she, or it is telling, but we don't need he, she, or it because nauta is the subject. Fabulas is the direct object, and agricolis is in the dative plural because that's the indirect object. So number 7 says, the sailor is telling stories to the farmers. In number 8, laboramos is the verb. That means we work or we are working. In casa is a prepositional phrase, and the word casa is being possessed by the word agricolarum, which is in the genitive plural. So number 8 will say, we are working in the house of the farmers, or we are working in the farmer's house. In number 9, do is the verb. That means I give or I am giving. Pecuniam is the direct object, and puellis is in the dative plural because that's the indirect object. So number 9 says, I am giving money to the girls. In number 10, servamus is the verb. That means we guard or we are guarding. And there are 2 direct objects, casas and scafasque. Both of those are in the accusative plural, but the word scafas has the que ending, which is like putting the word and between that word and the word that came before it. So number 10 will say, we are guarding the houses and the boats.